You're listening to Happy Hour Hustle from the creative geniuses here at 834. We're funny, informative, and we swear. We talk all things marketing, communication, small business, plus we offer up hot takes on our industry and whatever else we feel like talking about. So, grab your drink of choice. It's always 5 o'clock at 8:34. And crank it up. Hey there, hustlers. We are back this week to continue our conversation with Jen VanSkiver of Special Olympics Michigan. In the first half of our conversation, we talked about inclusivity, getting real about the fact that this world is not built for people with disabilities. Now we want to lay out the case for why every business, every organization, and every government agency should care and respond to this issue now, and how Special Olympics is helping them do it. I'm going to start by reading some of these statistics.
Oh, that's good.
Based on everything that we said.
That's a whole reporter and crap. Right, yeah.
If you haven't, Maddie pays bills around here.
Yeah. If you keep the lights on, no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
If you haven't read Jen's Crane's op-ed, you should. But here's just some of the highlights about why we're talking about this for everyone.
Yeah.
You know, and not just on, the personal level, so much of it, but for everyone, this is so important that we have buy-in. It really is. Unemployment rate for people with disabilities, 7.2%, more than twice the rate of those without disabilities. 75%.
No matter the economy.
Yeah.
No matter the economy. That's always the case. 75% of people with disabilities not in the labor force at all, compared to only 33% of those without disabilities. Even bigger gap. After-tax disposable income for working-age people with disabilities in the U.S., nearly $500 billion. There's a loss. There's proof that inclusivity works.
Yeah.
That's exactly it.
There's proof that inclusivity works. So, building on that, I'm gonna kind of toss it back to you, Jen.
Yeah.
Those numbers. What does this mean to you? What does this mean to you hearing this?
Yeah. So I'm going to share a story, because this is, and I'm going to make it short.
No, you're not.
But this story, is so CJ's in high school.
Yep.
And she has done through Forest Hills. She has done like a work study program. I think I talked a little bit about it earlier. So she worked for the Kent Intermediate School District in the summer, cleaning lockers and doing like environmental whatever. And she did really great and ended up earning like, I don't know, it was like $1,500. But it was great. It was awesome. Yeah. She worked all the time, loved it. It was super fun and great. And so she was a junior. Now fast forward one more year. So we're staring down her 18th birthday.
Yeah.
We're staring down leaving the K-12 system.
Right.
But also I have a summer. And so I go back to the same individual at the state agency, Michigan Rehab Services, that is specifically funded, designed, and set up to find people like CJ work. And we go in there and I'm like, oh, so glad to be back. We got a summer coming up here. Do you have that same available job? If not, could we do something else? We just loved it. CJ's with me, by the way. She is sitting to me as close as you are now. So we were both in this meeting. And the gal across the table from me says, okay, super. And she starts sharing with me some part-time opportunities. And I'm like, no, so great. And maybe there aren't full-time available opportunities, but and maybe we could cobble together 2 part-time opportunities. But let me be clear. I'd like her working as much as possible. She's proved she can do it. And she wants this. And the gal, we just were not connecting. It's like I was speaking a different language. And then finally, I think this gal got tired of me, and she leaned in and said, okay. Let me knit it out for you. CJ's going to be 18 in like 3 weeks. Okay? So you're going to be, obviously, if you haven't already, you're behind the 8 ball. You need to be applying for Social Security support. Okay? She needs state service support. Because her likelihood of earning is not there. Now hang on a second. CJ and I are in the same room. She is there. And so you're going to want that benefit, and you have a certain amount of time that you can sign up for it. So I'm sure you're going to want to sign up for it early. You also get other benefits with it, but you're going to start receiving this income. And so what that means, though, the rules are that if you receive the full benefit of income, you may not have any more than $2,000 in assets to your name. You can't own anything worth more than $2,000, well, except for a house and a car, which she doesn't own.
Yeah.
But you can't have more than $2,000 in your bank account.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And so what we're going to do here is we're going to give her a part-time job so she can only earn up to that, and then you can still get the benefits. And I'm like, thank you for that. It was super enlightening, actually.
Yeah.
But I already kind of knew that going into this meeting, and I said, okay, so I'm going to back up. and then I'm going to come at this a different direction. We came in here asking for employment.
Yeah.
Right.
You just told me how to avoid that. My tax dollars pay for you to tell me how you can get my daughter employment, right? Yes?
Yes.
Yes, we're all in agreement.
Yeah.
So why are we defaulting to she can't
Right?
Yep.
instead of defaulting to she can?
Yep.
So if you're not able to help us here, and I do understand that many parents that come in here don't understand the rules, or maybe don't have the means, or maybe we're privileged and I'm just an ass.
They just don't know the questions to ask.
Well, the default.
Yeah.
The default,
The default.
is
Yep.
the problem.
Yep.
And the default.
And it's a combination of one, that's what they default to because probably what they are faced with a lot is
And
because
told.
companies
Yeah.
aren't allowing that type of employment, like, and not allowing it to happen or not
Yeah.
or not making it happen. And so they assume the pool is smaller. They assume people won't get it. So it's,
But
it's
companies are. So let me tell you what, Meyer skipped over that.
Yeah.
They're like, I need people.
right.
Yeah.
I literally physically need arms
Yeah.
and legs and
Yep.
people and hearts beating in my store.
Yeah.
And it takes too long to go through this freaking process.
Yep.
And so you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put a classroom in, so Meyer,
Yeah.
28th Street in Cascade.
Yeah.
You may not know, but there's a classroom in the back there. And what that classroom is maybe 15 students or so who go KISD, the Kent Intermediate School District helps this. So they have an instructor that goes into Meyer every single day, and they work with these individuals with their IEP, so their individual education plan.
Yep.
They're also teaching workforce readiness. You know what else happens? In the afternoon, they are paired up with a worker at Meyer, and they go out on the floor. What are they doing? Make no mistake, it's not just greeting, okay? So let's
Yeah.
not do that.
Nope.
Let's not do that.
I was gonna say do not.
Do not.
Yeah.
It's at the cash register.
Yep.
It's an inventory.
Yep.
It's at the loading dock. It is scanning up and down the aisles. It's all kinds of customer service. It's
Yep.
all of it. Okay? Guess what else? At our building, maybe this is how we segue into the Inclusion Center.
Right.
We used that as a model and went to the Kent Intermediate School District and said, we need a class here. So bring to the Inclusion
Yep.
Center students who need to learn workforce readiness. Let's
Yep.
teach them how to be part of the labor force.
Yep.
And then let me employ these people.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what's happening. Meyer led the way.
Yeah.
All right? So employers actually are saying, why is this so hard?
Right.
Yep.
I literally need people.
Yeah.
I know that these people want to work, that they can work, that they can be an important part of our cultural family.
Yep.
Why
Yeah.
is it so hard?
Yeah.
So they went direct. And I love that about
Yeah.
West
Yeah.
Michigan. I love it.
Yeah.
So now let me qualify this by saying this is not in any way, my comments here are not in any way meant to disparage our state agencies.
No.
Our state agencies need to be there.
Yeah.
Because even in CJ's immediate circle of friends, there are a number of her friends who need those services.
Yeah.
CJ does not need those services.
Yes.
Right.
And it incenses me that the default pushed her into taking money from that pool
Yep.
of need.
Yep.
And so what we have here is a system failure.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
What we have here is also an education failure for guardians
Yeah.
and parents. And we've got a whole cultural shift, and so this is not just about employers, and it's not just about the big old government. It's not. It's so much broader a conversation.
Yeah.
Right.
So for me, my fear activated in our family in different ways.
Yeah.
I'm a pusher.
Yes.
This is how I deal with fear and anxiety is to do.
Yep.
That it is a default.
You're a fixer. It's a fixer.
Yep.
Yep.
And it's good, bad, or indifferent. That is how my trauma has wired me. And it is how because I'm the mother of our the parent in our family.
Yes.
That's how I've wired the whole family.
Right.
Yeah.
So my daughters both get the brunt of that.
Yeah.
And CJ was no different. And so when we saw opportunities for CJ, jam her in there. And if it works, great. If it doesn't, pivot. And we've done this her whole life.
Yeah.
And so Project Search comes up, jam her in there. This conversation happens,
Yep.
get her out of there.
Yeah.
Move her into something else.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of how we've always been. And so when Special Olympics came to my doorstep, I kind of sort of didn't know what it did. I kind of sort of didn't
Because
know
we all
that.
think sports.
But I think sports one time a year.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's the Olympics, or maybe once every 4 years.
Yeah. Well, I mean that.
Like, right?
Yeah.
Like I just, I didn't know. I didn't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
And so I cannot even remember the person who recommended me get into this program. It might even have been my sister-in-law Kelly who recommended me to do. She is a guidance counselor, and so obviously she's the most amazing person.
Yeah.
And so anyway, so we jam CJ into the Special Olympics exhibition. So there's like this basketball that's happening at Forest Hills Eastern, and we're like, okay. And
Go
then
play.
And they're like, does CJ want to play? And I don't even ask her. I'm like, yes.
Yes, she does.
So we get her in there. I have to put her in this this terrible poly. I don't even.
To be fair, we all wore that.
We all wore that.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, but you know who wasn't having that? Claudia VanSkiver. This is shit.
Thank God.
What am I wearing?
Like I feel a rash coming on.
Yeah, well, we all did.
Yeah,
CJ, we all did.
In fact,
Yes,
we all.
suffered.
So,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure those never got washed. So,
Hence the rash. So anyway, but she did. She put the damn thing on. And so we take her to this exhibition game. So there's a bunch of individuals who have been in the resource room, intellectually disabled individuals, but also other athletes, varsity athletes who want to play. And so they're playing together on the same team, same thing. So we push her out there, and she's had one practice, so no idea how to play basketball.
to be fair, I had no idea either.
Right on.
Still
right on.
don't. Anyways.
What? Have I
Not that I'm trying to make this about me, but I'm
about
just
you.
saying,
But I
yes,
saw a polyester
yes,
uniform with your name
yeah,
on it.
yeah, and I wore it on the B team, possibly C. 12 people on the team. Anyways,
There was no seats.
no, there was no C team. There was
was no
barely
C
a B team, just me. Moving on.
Paid tickets for that.
Yeah.
So we get her out there. So first of all, we walk into Forest Hills Eastern. Everybody's ever been in that area. So the competition gym is like all huge gym, but then it also is like a track that goes around the top. So people like pile in the second floor and they loom over. So it's like huge arena style.
Right.
So we get her in there. It is packed. There are thousands of people in this place. And I'm thinking to myself, she's going to fold like a cheap suit. Because I'm about ready to have a panic attack. This is unbelievable. And we put that gross uniform on her. We sat her ass out there. And at the time, she was the tallest. She's an 8th grader. At the time, she was the tallest. We push her out into the center. She has no idea. They don't know positions. They've had one practice. She's
Right.
like, this is a ball. Great. That's all
Right.
we know.
Ball hoop.
The tip-off comes, sadly, or fortuitously, it comes to her.
Yeah.
She catches the ball instead of deflecting it to another player.
Yeah. That's what I did.
Everyone goes, this way! And they're like, everybody's pointing to the right side
Yeah.
of the court. So she's like, okay, dribbles twice, top of the key. I have this video. Swear to God, my niece took it. Chucks it up.
Yeah.
Eyes closed. Chucks it up into the air. It goes in. Everyone is like, "Rah!" Like
Yeah.
the crowd goes wild.
Yeah.
My phone goes flying. My niece gets the sun. It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
And she stops like a deer in the headlights. Has no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
It's such sensory overload.
Yeah.
Nothing has ever happened to her like this
Yeah.
in her life. They pull her off the court.
Yeah.
She is not getting back on D.
Yeah. Yeah.
So whatever. Fast forward from that moment. We go home. She's almost like not talking because it was so much for her to take
Yeah.
in. But as the days go by and she's reflecting on it and the processing has caught up with her,
Yeah.
why did we only practice that one time? That seems dumb.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah.
Same as the
Yeah,
uniform.
imagine,
Yeah.
same as the uniform. And she's like, well, I think my friends should play. Can you call their moms? Yup. Well, what if we did this? What if we did this? What if we did that? All of a sudden, my daughter, instead of saying, sure, Mom, I'll do what you said, is like, what about?
Taking.
All of a sudden, her ideas. She has ideas.
Yeah. Yeah.
And as a pusher and a driver, from a place of fear and panic and just do so I don't have to think, all of a sudden my daughter is saying she is becoming a person
Yeah.
instead of a project or a stick figure
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
that I can just, like a pipe cleaner, bend into anything because I thought that's what she needed.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd never given her an opportunity to have a voice before. And frankly, I hadn't given her one here.
Yeah.
It was just so powerful
Yeah.
that she had to let out that energy
Yeah.
with questions and curiosity.
Yeah.
And my husband and I, it was all we could do to just like receive that information. And so you're damn right we got in there.
Yeah.
And we got a team assembled. And CJ recruited all of her freaking friends. The team to this day still exists and it is called Team Thunder.
That's amazing.
Thunder. And
I
we
love it.
in fact do play AC/DC.
Oh my God, that's amazing. I hope it's Thunderstruck because it'd be weird if it was like You Shook Me All
Right
Night
on.
Long.
Right
I mean,
on. It's Thunderstruck.
both songs are great, but you
My
know,
sister puts it on It was her idea, my sister.
Obviously.
And it's just fantastic.
We're gonna start this episode with thunderstruck and people won't understand.
Yes,
it's not what's going on.
I want this to happen. It needs to happen.
Yes, it's so killer though, but yeah, I think the reflection for me when that happened, it was so overwhelming. And since then, I've had other opportunities to watch her make a free throw, pass a great ball, cheer on her team, hold the hand of a teammate that wasn't quite ready to take the court.
Yeah.
Right.
Things like that. And now I find, like I used to watch her, then I watched other athletes. Now I watch parents.
Mm-hmm.
So I sit in the stands and I look a lot left and right instead of forward. And I look at moms or grandpas or siblings.
Mm-hmm.
And dads, I look at everybody, and what I look for and what I see so often is what I must have looked like that day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know who was watching me, if anybody, but I want parents
clearly
out
your
there.
niece.
Yeah, my
So,
niece was watching. Well, she was
yeah.
watching the game.
Yeah.
I just want other parents who hear this to know that people like me are watching you now. Now we have enough of a generational impact that there are those of us who have gone before, and there are those of us who want to walk alongside you.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're having that moment in the stands and you are for the first time seeing your son, your daughter, your sister, your brother, your grandchild, really for the first time.
Yeah.
Like, you're seeing the individual that you grieved
Yeah.
10 years ago.
Yeah.
That the doctors and the so-called experts told you would never be.
Seeing them thrive.
And then all of a sudden that person pops up on a basketball court and you're like, holy shit.
Yeah.
I never thought I'd meet that person.
Mm-hmm.
And they're right there. And now all of a sudden their pilot light is jacked up.
Yeah.
It's bright as all get out. And it is fueling them to ask questions and be involved and seek engagement. And now they want something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Special Olympics does that.
Yep.
Yeah.
But it also takes further. Like CJ did our leadership development program and Global Messenger program. So what we taught her is that she has an amazing story.
Yeah.
And then we taught her how to tell it.
Mm-hmm.
And then we taught her mother how to shut the F up.
That's a work in progress.
It is a little bit. Part and parcel of me being this chair, not her.
Yes. No
It
worries,
is
she's
hard.
next. Yeah.
She gets a microphone a lot.
Yeah.
And it doesn't include me. And it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard. And but she's the absolute best person to tell her own story. We teach that to our athletes.
Yeah.
And then we also teach them how to, once you've advocated for yourself, how do you then not just inspire others, but actually lead them?
Yeah.
How do you lead in the community?
Mm-hmm.
So we have whole programs on that. And CJ went through that prior to her getting into the Project Search program. So I absolutely 1000% credit the Special Olympics. Not only its literal game-changing experiences, but it's also the wraparound services that go beyond that into transforming CJ into the absolute community leader she is.
Yeah. Well, I think she's always been that.
She always was, but I was afraid to see it. Society wasn't educated to see it.
Yeah.
Right.
She knew, but we had to clear a few stones out of the path.
Yeah.
And there'll be fewer after she goes through it.
Yeah.
Because she's cleared those stones for others.
Yeah.
And I do, just because I want to make sure we hit everything we want to in our time, I would say we have like 8 to 10 minutes left on this tape.
She's so full of shit. Because, we literally have gone on for like an hour and a half.
On the tape, as Kim says.
Yes.
No, but I just...
Listen, all right? I didn't say 8-track. Could have. Here we are.
There's a couple things I want to make sure we talk about. I know you mentioned the USIC, but I do want listeners who haven't heard about it yet, to hear more about what you guys are doing there. Please talk a little bit more about what's happening there.
Thank you, Maddie. I think, Special Olympics is a program, and it is a global program, and we support 7 million athletes around the world. We have hundreds of thousands of volunteers who support those athletes in every zip code in America and every country around every continent. We are literally everywhere because we're grassroots. It is the largest humanitarian movement in the world. Our World Games are the largest humanitarian assembly events that ever happen. And we do a whole lot more than meets the eye. It is not once every 4 years. It is literally every single day in every single community. It is in the state of Michigan. It's in 600 schools and counting. It is providing more point of care, health care services to the intellectually disabled population than any healthcare system, any government, any insurance company, any other entity in the world. We provide more health care. Take that in.
Yeah.
I was a hospital administrator for 13 years, and I didn't know that information.
Right.
But because at every large place where we assemble, we bring in the CDC, Center for Disease Control, pays us money to provide healthcare, sports physicals, eye exams, hearing exams, dental exams, mental health screenings, podiatry exams, gait analysis.
Yeah.
We provide all of that and bring in folks like U of M, Emory University, Virginia Tech. We bring them into these places to run clinical trials to get access to our employees, access to our athletes.
Yes.
Because they're all in one place. And the statistics are that CJ with an intellectual disability is going to die 17 years sooner than a counterpart who is neurotypical. That's literally the fact. And she's not going to die from her intellectual disability.
Isn't that interesting?
She will die. She won't die because we're making a difference.
Yeah.
But
Fuck
the
no.
idea is
Change
that
it.
people like her will the mortality rates are more severe because of lack of health literacy, lack of access, lack of physicians understanding how to communicate with our families and individuals directly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All of that.
Yeah.
And so we've got a lot of work to do in that area. So we've got a lot of things that we do. We call ourselves an inclusion movement that uses sports as the catalyst. Like that's our opening line, our opening salvo.
Yeah.
And it's literally the easiest way to show society that our people have something to give.
Yeah.
Right? You didn't think they could do much, but this person caught a ball, passed a ball, made a touchdown, got a gold piece of hardware around their neck.
Right.
They were cheered for by hundreds of people who never met them before but know their name today. That's what we illuminate in that way. And then we take it from there. And we're doing it. We're in that gap right now because nobody else is.
Yep.
The goal would be for Special Olympics not to have to do that over time. That
Yeah.
society could come in and fill in the cracks in that cement.
Well, that's the goal for every nonprofit is to work
Put
yourself out of business.
Exactly. And we're very much on that bandwagon. But until then, we're going to stand in that gap proudly, and we're going to bring those resources to bear. So, the Inclusion Center. We don't own our own facilities typically. Again, we map on. We try to put like for every dollar that you give, we're 90 cents in directly toward, which is an amazing place to be toward the athlete, directly to the athlete. And so when you own your own property and capital, like that can sometimes affect that. We've done it in a way that didn't. We've kind of challenged that hypothesis a little bit. We were the first to be able to do it to this magnitude. New Jersey, and there may be a couple of other places in the U.S. that do have their own facilities, mostly for meeting and office space and some sports, but nothing of this magnitude.
Yeah.
And nothing that does what we do as well, which is a service hub. So we have 9 other nonprofits that also serve the intellectually disabled community in some way, also in our building. So when parents come in, when caregivers come in, when advocates come in, you can, Down Syndrome Association is right there, Autism Support of Kent County is right there, Disability Advocates of Kent County is right there, Mental Health Foundation of West Michigan is right there. So you don't have to worry about transportation, taking another day off, making all these different things. So we're a service hub, which is really needed.
Yeah.
Especially for parents who are still trying to figure out what is out there.
Yeah.
And it's unique.
It is. It's very, very unique to have that.
Yeah.
So the service hub is A. The training fields and sports facilities, it actually is A. We did it for that.
Yeah.
To prioritize our athletes to have a place to play.
Yes.
Yeah.
B is the service hub.
Yeah.
And then C is the fact that we also have additional public spaces like our 600-person auditorium. We converted the media center into a large meeting facility. We've got all kinds of indoor and outdoor space where you can have lots of different types of events. And then we've saved a lot of classrooms, kept the footprint of those, and turned them into training and meeting rooms that can support breakouts.
Yeah.
So we are, in fact, a conference center. But you're not going to find another conference center anywhere
No.
where you have athletes welcome you at the front door.
Nope.
And immediately, the first eyeballs you'll see is a person looking back at you, teaching you what they can do.
Right.
The first voices you
Well,
hear.
also, like, they're just nicer than anybody.
Yeah.
Like,
They're happy to be there, doggone it.
yeah.
Yep.
Like,
And they're proud.
yeah, welcome to corporate America. Like, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so that's the first experience you'll have.
Right.
They welcome every large meeting to the building. We have again, our athletes are employed at the building. We have a whole workforce development program, as I mentioned, with Empower You and the Kent Intermediate School District there, and creating
Shout out
jobs.
to Kent ISD.
Yeah, right on.
Yeah.
Hot damn.
Yeah.
And
Like,
And the Empower You program, I mean, it's really cool that it's happening there
Yep.
because they can get jobs. The people who are the students in that program can get jobs at a place that quite literally was made by everything for them. I mean, that's so cool that on the job training is happening there.
It really is. And again, we have 5 phases to our complete and total renovation. We're through 3. We've got another one that's going to get kickstarted here in a matter of weeks. It will complete by this time next year, and then we have a future phase, which is to totally renovate the auditorium, which will be unbelievable. So because we have this center, this inclusion center, and we are doing things like a service hub, we are doing things like workforce readiness and development, we are doing things like showcasing our athletes' ability,
Right.
and bringing corporations, foundations, other organizations into just on the auspices of conference space. But
Right.
what they get
Right.
is
Yeah.
immersion and inclusion.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
And I do want to mention, just sliding in there,
yeah.
on the inclusion front, talk about how athletes were involved in creating these spaces.
Totally. So so we had a really, really unique model in terms of building, renovating this space, and so we had to create a design team unlike any other, and it was really done in a very collaborative way with our architects and engineers, with our signage companies and our production companies, with our tech companies, with our interior design folks. Hi, Frank.
Yeah. Frank's saying hi. There's probably a dog
And
walking
so-
by.
obviously.
Typically what happens is that when you're in a renovation or a build out, you see you, Kim, thank you.
Pop back in.
Bring back more wine. What happens in those situations is that you have a real sequential process rather. And so you design the space, then you bid it out, then you construct the space, and then all of a sudden you do what's called FF&E, furniture finishes, and the equipment. I was going to say extras, but equipment.
Yeah.
And a lot of times equipment is tech.
Uh-huh.
And so everything kind of happens in a row. What we found is that that's not sufficient. To create a true inclusive experience, you need to have all the creative thinkers and innovators from day one.
Right.
And so we've got to learn how to budget differently. So a lot of the work that we're doing in our inclusion center is actually teaching architects, designers, tech companies how to completely rethink how they design and build spaces.
Right.
So we call it spaces, places, and systems. So we've become a learning lab. We are really excited about it. So we have welcomed the likes of Steelcase. I toured easily 100 people from Steelcase yesterday in 3 different tour sessions.
I know
each
you
2
hours.
hours.
Responding to my text.
And I'm so sorry. It was hoarse, girl. I couldn't even voice the text. But we had industrial designers, product designers. We had people from finance. We had people from Germany who had come over for that.
Really incredible.
Really incredible. And they're very, very excited. So what all these companies have in common, so let's say Steelcase, DDM Marketing Communications, Metaformat Production Company, MindSpring Technology Development, Holoplot, and the Sphere. That's the same Sphere as Las Vegas. We have a lot of different customer office environments. We have a lot of different companies who are investing in us. So they've given us some stuff in kind. They've made some financial contributions, which are substantial and very much needed and appreciated. But most important, what they're doing is they're studying how their products and services perform in our space. Why is that important? Because what they're looking at for the first time is our people, our intellectually disabled people, as marketable.
Right.
Many times people view our folks as beneficiaries of the system, people who don't work, so therefore don't pay taxes,
Right.
to have no disposable income, so they're not consumers,
Yeah.
and they probably don't vote, right? So they're over here, we take care of them, we want to do right by them,
Yeah.
and we do things for them,
Things
not
we
with
know
them.
aren't true.
We know they're not true. And for the first time, what this kind of snow globe, this learning lab, this inclusion center is showing to corporate America, the thinkers and innovators of tomorrow is, wow,
Right.
here's what can happen if you actually involve the intellectually disabled community in the design.
Yeah.
We've never done it before. We've done it on behalf of. So the first time that Steelcase has ever had an intellectually disabled stakeholder population come through its learning center for a tour was about a year ago, and it was our group. Never been done before.
Right.
Not because anybody was being exclusive, it's because we just didn't know how it would go, and no one tried.
Right. No one tried it.
No one's tried it.
Right.
And now we've done it, and that's now the standard for Steelcase. CS Ericsson, which is a great technology company, came in, gave us an AV system, and then handed us a box and said, oh, if anybody's got any hearing impairments, here's the headphones. That's your accommodation package. It's literally the size of a cigar box. And then we talked about it, and they're like, wow, that was lackluster. I feel like we should be designing a system
Self-awareness.
for complexities that raise the tide.
Right.
We have the Sphere coming in and looking to help us renovate the sound system of our auditorium. These are the people who pioneered sound in a sphere. It's never been done. It's patented. It's the only place in the world you can get that level of performance. They're going to be putting in a system in our auditorium that will be the only other one in the country.
Yeah.
And people will be able to come there to experience what it's like for a person with autism who needs sound softer.
Right.
Can sit next to a person who's hard of hearing who needs sound louder without wires or headphones or any stigma.
Yeah.
We can project in a beam the sound to them in the way that they need it, not just to be tolerable but enjoyable. Also, languages. You can sit next to somebody hearing Spanish and you're hearing English, and that is literally technologically possible now.
Yeah, they can do it.
And in public spaces, it should be. So we're going to teach our municipalities, our cities, our developers how to do it in a way because it's far more expensive to retrofit later.
Right.
It's far easier, more inclusive to build from the beginning. So I'll finish with this. Let's say, for example, you have more wine has arrived.
More wine has
and
arrived.
Frank.
And Frank.
Oh,
and biscuits.
Get that audio of him
Oh, wow.
eating them.
Yeah, here.
That's ASMR.
Yes.
People are going to love that.
Yes, sir. Well done, sir. Our brave boy. Frank is also up for adoption. He's the sweetest dog I've ever seen.
He really
Yes,
is.
this is also a Frank
And
plug.
felt because he's been on top of my sweater multiple
Yes,
times.
yes.
But so let me think. I want to end with the economic analysis.
Right.
I mentioned earlier, Maddie, that most people don't see my daughter or her peer group as being marketable. They assume she doesn't work. They assume she's on state benefits. They assume she doesn't pay taxes. They assume that she isn't a consumer or votes. They're wrong about all those things.
Yes.
And CJ is not special. She is very much representative of a broad base of individuals who have and are contributing.
Yeah.
Now, I want to put this in economic terms because although the folks at the Sphere are lovely people, they're lovely, wonderful people.
Yes.
And they are absolutely working with us on a very nice in-kind gift.
Yeah.
They don't need to
Right.
because they're selling the lakes at Disney.
Yeah.
They're selling amphitheaters and stadiums all over the world.
I was gonna say I can't imagine the Sphere is not profitable.
They're doing well.
They're doing well.
And they don't need us
Right.
for a cause-related campaign. But they see us as an opportunity to learn.
Yep.
Because when you put it in an economic proposition like this is what makes folks like Steelcase, the Sphere, and others stand up to attention.
Right.
So CJ doesn't necessarily love to go to concerts, Snoop Dogg, or movies, or things like that.
Yes.
Because it's too loud, and sometimes it's a win and sometimes it's a miss. It really just depends because she does have some sensory, she flinches, things are too loud.
Yeah.
And for some individuals it's so impairing that they can't even consider it. And so, like, for example, our family, we don't budget, we don't plan for things like that. So if
Right.
CJ's not going, guess who else isn't going? Me, my husband, her sister. It's 4 people who aren't buying tickets to Taylor Swift. Or let's say flying to Paris to
Pricey
see
tickets.
yeah,
Either way.
right, or staying in a hotel room, or going out to dinner, or taking an Uber
Yep.
to the arena,
Or parking.
or parking at the arena, or buying a Starbucks on the way home. We're not doing any of those things. So right now, because we have opted out of public spaces,
Yep.
these venues aren't counting us as anywhere in their economics.
Yep.
So that's what we call a vertical market.
And I do just want to say, I'm going to throw another stat out there because that's what I do. 3.4 billion people in the world have friends or family members of people with disabilities.
Right on. And so it follows that a massive percentage of that 3.4 billion are opting out of public spaces and events and ways to engage with their community because it is not tolerable.
Nope.
And it's not accessible, or maybe it's accessible, but it's cumbersome.
Yeah.
You know, I have a guy who I know who has cochlear implants who has to use loop hearing. Some
Right.
places have it, some places don't. So they advertise that they have it, and he gets there. He's with a bunch of his friends. He wants to go see this new show. He gets there. No one's tested the system in 6 months. He gets in, tests the system. It doesn't work. He can't hear it.
Yeah.
They give him a ticket to come back. Why? His friends already saw it. Like, think of that.
Right.
Think of how much prep has to go into. That shouldn't be the case, that we should have to work so hard
Yeah.
to just be a part of the community. So if we inclusively design from the beginning, it works better.
Right.
So the economic prospect to stadiums, arenas, public spaces, think of even lecture halls in colleges. Think of any place in the K-12 system. Think of how much better that would be.
Yeah.
There's a lot of money to be made by doing that, but there's also the ripple effect of my husband, myself, my daughter.
Yeah.
That's 3 more people. That's a multiplier effect.
Yes.
All of us have opted out.
Yeah.
So know that. And when we said those terms to the folks at the Sphere, they were like, "Oh, yeah." And you know what
Suddenly.
else? And you know what? For us to make that adjustment is literally math.
Yeah.
And we don't have to, I don't have to tweak my system. I just have to do a different math formula.
Right.
Why wouldn't we do that?
Yeah.
It only took an ask. It only took visibility. It only took somebody making the right connection.
Right.
And so that is happening here in our little city of Grand Rapids, which is, we're having conversations potentially about, with the stadium and the arena, 2 big, massive infrastructure projects happening for the city.
Right.
And so, you know what? The fact that Special Olympics has been able to bring this to the forefront and illuminate it in a way, I mean, everything from wayfinding to how to design spaces, to how to bring tech into the conversation, how to employ people.
Right.
And how to create a community that doesn't just welcome, but has a place for you. Your community, before you even arrive and take a step into it, says, "I knew you were coming." We need that. And that's what we're happy with our building, which is a one-off now, but absolutely scalable and replicable and on the plan nationwide. I love that the Grand Rapids, that the state of Michigan did it first.
Right.
And I couldn't be more proud to personally be involved in that at this point in my life.
It's gonna
Or
happen.
my daughter's life, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I have to wrap us a little bit, but I think that's a perfect point to end it on. It's moving forward. If you haven't heard about it, read about it, listen to it, be a part of it, do all the things.
Also,
It's
give
so
money.
important.
For the love of fucking God, give money.
Yes.
To do the Sphere system in our auditorium, to completely rip out the 1972 sized seats that are in there right
Which
now.
we all
and
loved at one point. We
did.
never did. We
We
never
loved it.
really did.
I
I
know,
don't
we're coming
think
in
we
today
did.
and it still smells like 1972.
It sure does.
And
Yeah.
if you're using a wheelchair, you can't get on stage. I mean,
Nope.
there's just basic things
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
that need to be done. In addition to the groundbreaking system
Right.
of Holoplot,
Uh-uh.
we have set a goal of $5 million that we need to raise to overhaul that. And we feel very confident that we'll get there. But I only feel confident because I have partners like you that are helping me get the word out, and I'm very grateful. So if you do have interest in coming to see us, coming to learn more about what we're doing, or maybe even contributing to it in some way, we will move heaven and earth to make that happen for you.
Right. And once you do see it and once you do talk to the people involved in it, you will want to. So that was my last word, Kim.
Oh, I just have see you on the download, which everyone thinks is hilarious because, you know, tapes and things like that. But also, sometimes you have to download a podcast. Maybe I'm the only one. Here we are. But, you know, if you have to. But also, yes. Like, VanSkiver, how do people find out more information?
Oh, SOMI.org, SOMI.org. Better, and you can find me on that website, and probably the best way to do that, connect with me on LinkedIn, Jen VanSkiver. I'm on LinkedIn. Please find me. So, you know, I'm really, really pleased, honored, and grateful to be leading that charge. So if you can find me, or if you can find us on the World Wide Web, as people have already
As people say.
As they do.
The interwebs.
Yes.
Find me on MySpace at...
Oh my
yeah.
God.
Yes.
Well, we had the music, and anyway, yes.
No,
anyway, wrap us up.
but we will include all the links
Yes.
on this podcast.
Yes. So
We'll
nothing
have it all
that we
available.
said was relevant or needed, but thank you, Maddie, for letting us say it.
We will make sure it's all in there. Jen, thank you so much for coming in.
Maddie, thank you for everything you've done for us, and thank you, Bodhi, for, 30
Being here
years.
with the dog. Oh, God, so many years.
Yes. Let me be frank.
Yeah. Oh.
All right, Kim, do you want to say it? Last
No,
words?
Yeah, well, no, it was a mom joke. I think we'll end with that. So it was good. It wasn't even a dad joke. It was a mom joke. That's how bad it
what I
was.
do.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah.
Hashtag call your mom.
Yeah, hashtag yes.
All right.
Yeah.
See you guys on the download.
Oh, Maddie said it. I mean, Maddie said it. Yay.